If you're a pickle lover, we're planting cucumbers today, and they're an easy vegetable to grow, even with limited amount of space by trellising them. And later on, taking a simple garden tool, modifying it, can make harvesting leaf lettuce a whole lot easier. All that and a whole lot more coming up today on the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. This program was funded by the following.
At dollarseed.com, all of our seeds are only $1 a pack. And we have online resources that teach you all about the rewarding hobby of growing your own plants, flowers, herbs, and vegetables. Imagine the joy you'll feel when your children actually help you harvest your first garden crop, or the pride of knowing you'll never need a florist again. Visit dollarseed.com and grow a little magic of your own for just $1. Dollarseed.com. What could be healthier?
Willow Spring Soap Company is a locally owned Colorado business just a stone's throw away from the Rocky Mountains. Their handmade soap is made from simple, recognizable ingredients, which lead to a more natural, earth-friendly, long-lasting, and hard bar with a wonderful creamy lather. They make soap using the cold kettle process with a specially formulated recipe of 100% vegetable oils. They use traditional methods that produce a true soap instead of the commercial synthetic alternatives that can dry out skin. Go to www.willowspringsoap.com to get a fresh and natural clean, handmade in the Rockies.
The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener supports the following. Hunger Task Force believes that every person has the right to adequate food obtained with dignity. They're providing food for people in need. With their 151-acre working farm and fish hatchery in Franklin, Wisconsin, volunteers are needed daily. You could plant seeds in the greenhouse, ride the transplanter, or you can make an instant $10 donation from your mobile device by texting food to 52,000. For more information on how you can help end hunger, visit hungertaskforce.org. Welcome to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. I'm Joy Baird. This show is dedicated to the average gardener, simple home living, and using what you already have. Well, it's time to plant some cucumbers, and there's ways to go about doing it. Now, we're going to do it in the traditional hill planting method. Well, kind of. What we've got here is this is where peas was planted this year, and they just didn't do very well. So I didn't want to take down this double fence galvanized trellis that we had. So we're just going to expand upwards on it by taking, this was connected to a trellis that we had last year, so I left it alone for some more structural support, and I put 2 fence posts and this nylon netting that's got a high tensile strength to it, and it's going to work quite well. So what I've done is taken, and typically you would make a mound about 1 foot wide by 6 to 8 inches elevation on the ground you plant your seeds in. Well, I've kind of took that concept and tweaked it a little bit. We've used the fence as the back side of half the hill, and we're going to plant our cucumbers on the side of the hill here. And this trench will actually benefit us in catching water when it rains or when we have to water. Now this brown powder here, this is just some organic fertilizer that we applied from Winchester Gardens. They've got a really nice line of organic fertilizer. It's completely organic and absolutely safe for your garden. So we're going to work that in the soil a little bit before we plant. Now we're going to plant 5 different varieties of cucumbers. Now there's 3 different main types of cucumbers that you can grow. You've got the slicing type, which is designed just for eating right away. You've got the pickling, which is for long shelf life, and you've got what they call the burpless. And the burpless is a more milder taste. It doesn't contain the enzymes that you normally would find in a pickle that causes you to burp, and it's a little not as bitter. So, how to go about planting these things? Now you could do it on the ground, but I do recommend, whether you're in an urban setting or have a lot of room, try to trellis these things, because they'll get very evasive and take over and vine all over your garden. And a few cucumbers plants will go a long way. So if you want a lot of cucumbers to make pickles with, plant as many as you can. Cucumbers, we're going to plant a 1/2 inch deep, and they'll take between 50 and 70 days to mature, depending on the variety. And there's organic cucumbers, there's heirloom cucumbers, and there's hybrid cucumbers. So we're going to take, we've got 5 varieties, and we're going to really pack these things in, because you can plant them, and even if you have very little space, you can actually do this in a container too. We're going to pack them in pretty tight. We're going to go a 1/2 inch deep, and about every 4 inches we're going to put a seed in the ground. And these will take about 7 to 14 days to germinate. Now, with the elevation of the hill, there's 2 benefits to this. One, it's a lot looser soil, so if you don't have the option to double dig, it will allow the seed root to penetrate down better. And 2, with the elevation, it will warm the soil quicker, which will allow your seeds to germinate. Now, later on in the show, we're going to plant some zucchini that we're not going to do the mound on for other reasons. But here we're going to do the mound so these things will germinate quicker and we can get a better harvest, or a quicker harvest, for our cucumbers. So I'm just going to take a handful of these and plant in our hill. I'm going to go, the hill is about 8 inches here, so I'm going to go about halfway up the hill, which will give the cucumber an opportunity to grow a little bit and then begin to climb up this trellis. Now, the trellis is about 5.5 foot tall. And what these cucumbers are going to do is they're going to vine all over the place, and more than likely, in a good scenario, they're going to climb over top and start crawling down the back side, which is fine. But if you have the option to even go higher, that would be even better. Now, cucumbers like a soil of a pH balance of about 6.5. And they like full sun if all possible. Now, like most of us in the urban setting, we may not always have that option. Well, we've got a lot of morning sun till about midday. And then with the tree, it shades the area until later afternoon, where we get that evening sun. So this is the best scenario for growing cucumbers in our garden this year. Plus, this is the best soil we have in the garden on this end, on the lower end. So we're going to plant them right here. And I don't think we'll have a whole lot of issue with these growing. So we finished planting them all along the base of our galvanized wire fence here. So what I'm doing is I'm going back through here and I'm planting randomly on the side of this mound that we've got, which will help, and we get more cucumbers growing, and they're all going to, we can train them to go up towards the trellis. Now, if you're in a colder climate, you can start cucumbers inside in trays. But if at all possible, I'd recommend just starting them in the ground when the soil temperatures are warm enough, about 70-degree soil temperature, because it will keep from you having to try to hardy the plants up before you put them in the ground. Now, with herb planting, you can plant them in your house in a little terracotta pot like this, or a soda bottle and put it in your window to get sunlight, or on the deck. Just always remember, you need to have adequate sunlight and adequate water in those pots. The smaller the pots, the more water that it will require, because it will evaporate quicker. Well, we're going to take and plant them directly into the garden by seed. And we've kind of got a little thing rigged up here. Now, these are just markers off of a plastic coffee container that we've divided. They're about 8 inches wide and about 14 inches long, and each one of these little spots is going to be a different variety of herb that we're going to plant. Now, one of the ways you can go about planting it, with all the different varieties of herbs, there's different times of the year and different temperatures and different soil quantities, and if you're going to grow a specific type, you need to do your research and find out what the criteria for that specific herb is. For us, we're just going to plant them all at the same time, same kind of soil, partial shade. It's get morning sun and it gets evening sun, so during the hottest part of the day, it's shaded by the tree in the garden. So what we're going to do is take a little bit of soil in a cup. We sprinkled some seeds in there, and we're just going to broadcast the seeds in our little section that we're planting that specific herb for. Now, obviously, there are probably going to be some crossover, but the reason for the soil is so that there's going to be some seed-soil contact when it hits the ground. Also, it's easier to broadcast them with a little bit of soil. You get more of an even distribution of the seeds. This was our chives here. And we've got 9 varieties of herbs that we're going to be planting here. This is our dill here. And then once we get them planted, we're going to water them in. So I've got them all planted, and I'm just going to take some regular garden soil and just sprinkle over the seeds and some nice loose fine soil just to make sure we do have the seeds covered, because I noticed this over here, the cilantro with the big seeds are not all quite covered. And you could do this with potting soil too if you wanted, or compost, just lightly cover that. So I'm just going to water them in. Now a lot of these could potentially, depending on what area of the country you live in, could be perennials. They would come back year after year. So this could work out to, if you want to do this in a flower bed next to the kitchen, or somewhere that you are going to be able to access easy, you could do this and you could have herbs for years to come. So whether you plant them inside or outside, herbs can be a very important aspect of cooking, and I encourage you to grow some.
There's a lot of items that you have in your garden already that's just growing there that you may think is just weeds, but it's actually something that you can use in your household that you may be unaware of. One of them is lamb's quarters, and this is what lamb's quarters looks like. It's very similar when it grows. It looks like quinoa, and it can be invasive. A lot of farmers will actually get rid of it because it takes over the pastures where their animals feed. But for you can use it for some pesto, and different greens and things like that. And as you can see here, it has a green stripe, kind of a light green and dark green stripe along the stem as it becomes fully grown. It's part of the goosefoot family because the leaves look like goose feet. Then we have Creeping Charlie. Creeping Charlie is of the mint family. It has a strong mint flavor. It grows the best in more wet areas of your yard or garden. A lot of people will generally sometimes grow in a house plant if they're going to use it. If it's taking over the garden, obviously they try to get rid of it, but it has a strong mint flavor. It's of the mint family, and you can use it to put in teas. You can use it fresh or dried in the teas, and it's not really recommended for pregnant women. Dandelions are probably one of the most useful things because you can use the entire thing from the flower to the stem to the leaves to the roots. And the nice thing about dandelion is that there's over 300 different varieties, and none of them are poisonous. Obviously, that's safe because since you don't necessarily always know about different types of weeds or things like that, you can use any of them. Then also, dandelions are good for breast cancer, urinary tract infections, your pancreas, your spleen, your bladder, your liver. It helps that. It also has A, B, and C vitamins in it, and beta carotene. A lot of people use it for making different preserves. You can use the flowers to make wine. So there's many different uses for the dandelions. Before you take anything out of your garden, make sure you do some research on it before you eat it. If it's something that you didn't put there, you want to make sure it's safe before you go ahead and consume it. So there's a few things that you can reuse in your garden you already may have growing there.
There's a lot of things you can do with a zucchini, from frying it on the grill to making relish out of it. We're going to plant 4 different types of zucchini. Now you're wondering why we have fence posts? Well, we're going to trellis our zucchini, and that's a way of getting it up off the ground to getting more space to grow other items. And I'll explain more to you about that in a moment. But first we're going to plant some 1-ball zucchini. Now what is 1-ball? It's simply what the name says. It's the size of about a cue ball in pool. They're a rapid producer. It gets a yellow color. It's a 40-day, 35 to 40-day maturity, and it's a heavy producer. And you just plant the zucchini. Now, if you're going to plant these by seed, you will just go ahead and level the soil off, double dig, level the soil off, and plant your seeds. I wouldn't recommend mounding the soil up as traditionally is done, for the reason being that if you put the seed in the soil, if it's level, then the water can penetrate the soil. But if it's up on a mound, the water will hit that mound and typically roll off or run off to where the seed doesn't get as much water as it needs. So with these, we started about 2 weeks ago inside, just to get a jump start on them. And this is the yellow straight neck. We'll put this back here. And it's the same if you're starting them by starts like we are, where you just want to plant them in the soil, the depth that they came out of the container. The roots are not root bound, so we don't have to worry about that. And this one takes 3 days. At any point where it's 4 inches to 14 inches. But obviously the smaller the fruit is on the vine, the more tender it is and the better eating it is. Now if you want to make relish out of it, you can let them get extremely large. They'll grow as big as a baseball bat if you really let them. But the more you harvest off the plant, being that 8 to 10 inch, 1 to 2 inch diameter, the more the plant will produce and the less stress it is on the plant. If it's producing one large one, it's not going to work on producing multiple small ones as rapidly. Let's see, this one is the yellow crooked neck versus the yellow straight neck we have in the back there. Only difference is when it comes off the plant, instead of having a straight shaft, the neck of it where it connects to the plant is hooked like an upside down J. There's no real difference. It's just a different look to the plant. I'm sure there's a story behind why it is like that. And we're going to plant our black zucchini. And this is a 65. This is the longest to maturity one that we're planting in this group. And it's not really it's not black, it's just dark green. And you can plant your traditional green zucchini as well. We'll get that out of the plant. And as you can see, they've been in there for about 2 weeks. And the roots have, there's nice roots. They're not root bound. And I'm just going to loosen the roots up just a little bit to get them to grow better once they go in the ground here. Okay. So, trellising zucchini. How do we do that? Well, as you know, the zucchini will grow into a bush and then begin putting fruit on the vine. And the vine will continue to get longer. Let's say that the garden hoe here is the shaft of, or the stalk of the zucchini. Well, as it puts on a fruit here, it'll grow and put a fruit here. It won't put fruit on anywhere from where that last fruit was to where the root is at, the base of the plant going in the soil. So as it gets longer, you can gingerly trellis and twist it up on your post, whether it's a fence post or whatever you're using, and you can zip tie it or tie it with string, and it will continue to grow up and produce fruit as it's on a trellis. And the benefits to this is to have more space. That's why we can tuck these things in so tight. Otherwise, you would need about 8 square foot for a typical, well, 6 to 8 square foot for a typical plant. And here we've got all 4 plants in an area of 5 by 5. So if you never trellised zucchini before, you should do it. If you are limited on space, it'll greatly allow more space to plant more items in your garden. When it comes to harvesting your leaf lettuce, most of us will grab a pair of scissors and a bowl and head to the garden. Well, the difficulty in that is that I have had is when you try to harvest it, you'll cut and you've got to hold on to what you've cut or it falls on the ground. Well, a simple modification to, most of us have some of these. These are the old shears that you would do trimming around your garage or your fencing. Well, taking a simple box and taping it to your shears can make harvesting lettuce a whole lot easier. And I'll demonstrate. We bought these shears here for 50 cents at a yard sale, cleaned them up, sanitized them, and it's going to work really good for the lettuce. And I'll show you how. You want to harvest your lettuce low to the ground, and that's why you want to plant it in rows. So as you cut it, and you move down, you just want to tip it over into the box. Take it to your bowl and put it in your bowl. And you can then go through, and if you do have any weeds, you can address them and remove them. But now you've got a clean slate of harvest lettuce, and it will grow back. And this is the same concept, kind of like a combine would, where a reel would push it into the header. And it works really well. And you just take your hand as you cut it and move it over. And see, I've got some debris there, which is not a big deal. And put that in the bowl. Now I'll take some and cut down here. The same concept. Cut it low to the ground and just push it in. Then get all that cut. There we go. And all this is just a corner off of a soda box, or you can apply it to any type of box. And we taped it to the edge. Put some white sticky labels in there to kind of, so you can see a little bit better what's going on. And you can remove this after you're done, but it's a simple way of harvesting lettuce with some stuff you've already got in your house. Well, that's all the time we have. Hope you enjoyed the show as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. Watering our cucumbers in. Now in this little spot here, we probably planted somewhere around 60 to 80 cucumber plants to guarantee us an absolutely great harvest. And remember, with the herbs, whether you have a lot of space in your garden or a few pots in your kitchen window, always make sure they have plenty of sunlight and plenty of water, and you can enjoy herbs all year long if you keep them inside, or you can dry them from in the garden. For all of us here at the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener, I'm Joy Baird, encouraging you, take a child gardening and start growing some memories. The show never ends on our Facebook page. Keyword Wisconsin Vegetable Gardeners. Like the page and continue the discussion there. You can now follow us on Twitter, see what we're up to and what we're doing at the garden. The address, the W-I Veg Gardener, G-A-R-D-E-N-R. You can email us at the W-I Veg Gardener at gmail.com with your questions, comments, or suggestions about the show. This program was funded by the following.
At dollarseed.com, all of our seeds are only $1 a pack. And we have online resources that teach you all about the rewarding hobby of growing your own plants, flowers, herbs, and vegetables. Imagine the joy you'll feel when your children actually help you harvest your first garden crop, or the pride of knowing you'll never need a florist again. Visit dollarseed.com and grow a little magic of your own for just $1. Dollarseed.com. What could be healthier?
Willow Spring Soap Company is a locally owned Colorado business just a stone's throw away from the Rocky Mountains. Their handmade soap is made from simple, recognizable ingredients, which lead to a more natural, earth-friendly, long-lasting, and hard bar with a wonderful creamy lather. They make soap using the cold kettle process with a specially formulated recipe of 100% vegetable oils. They use traditional methods that produce a true soap instead of the commercial synthetic alternatives that can dry out skin. Go to www.willowspringsoap.com to get a fresh and natural clean, handmade in the Rockies.
The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener supports the following. Hunger Task Force believes that every person has the right to adequate food obtained with dignity. They're providing food for people in need. With their 151-acre working farm and fish hatchery in Franklin, Wisconsin, volunteers are needed daily. You could plant seeds in the greenhouse, ride the transplanter, or you can make an instant $10 donation from your mobile device by texting food to 52,000. For more information on how you can help end hunger, visit hungertaskforce.org.